Hello, we're back. Today we are going to be inspired by Pierre Auguste Renoir. He was a French Impressionist painter who enjoyed painting women, children, and flowers in very soft colors with soft edges. I want to show you some of his floral still lifes, which is what we're focusing on today. So let's take a look at them and notice the soft edges especially. Soft edges are our goal is to have 2/3 soft edges and 1/3 hard edges. And in the case of a floral, it's pretty much that way because the base is hard, and that's where the contrast is between the very, very lights and the very darks. And then the flowers are kind of have soft edges. The flowers kind of blend in with each other. So then I want to show you, take a look at it, the photo that I sent you of the still life that I set up in the studio this week for you to paint and for you to have to see before I paint it today. Notice that in this one, the base has all the hard edges, the highlights and the shadows. What else I want to tell you about this? It's finding. It took me days, well, not really, but almost days to find my composition. And since I've showed you the one composition that I chose, I want you to see all the others, many more, but I have a few to give you some idea of how there's so many choices in one still life setup. There is the different, all the, when you look through the viewfinder, find your composition, I was looking at the contrast, especially like the lighting situations. Some had more light, some had natural light come through the windows, some had the light from the spotlight, and then just different times of day. So the lighting's the first thing, and then it was sometimes a different angle. I would look more head on, look more down on it, and then different objects. Like I put an apple in one, and a couple of pears in another. It had one with nothing. So just a matter of searching. You're searching and for a composition, and finally you find one that you're really excited about, and that's when you start doing your thumbnail sketch. And so come see the demonstration because you'll see that I'm really working hard to keep edges soft, especially in the pink flowers. Okay, come see. Welcome to my vase of flowers demonstration in watercolor. I wanted you to see the thumbnail sketch that took 1 minute, the value study that took more than 5 minutes, but that's what you should spend on it, about 5 minutes. And then in the drawing on the paper, on the watercolor paper, I wanted to show you about the cylinder, how you draw through. Can you see it right there? In other words, if you see the cylinder like this, but the way to get it to be the same all the way around is to relax your hand and go like this, around and around and around and around, and then you go back and you pick out the best one. It's very, you can't really draw a cylinder like this, you know. It's too hard, it never comes out even. But if you just go like this, you'll get a lovely oval. And then I put the line down like I did with the wine bottle so that it would be the same on both sides. But it's two cylinders. It's the big one, the main base, and the small one, which is the top of the base in this case. And then that's what I want you to see for that. And I drew it on. I wasn't going to spend too much time on the drawing, but I did. But I'm determined to paint it pretty fast and loose. And one way to do that might be to, I'm going to do a whole section of pink. So maybe I'll wet all the areas that I'm going to do at once. It's like a section, rather than painting everyone at the same time. Where's my, here it is. You can see the hot pink. This is a great place for this. This is a pale pink, which means you can use the pure color, but you could have to thin it down quite a bit. So here we'll just start off by putting some lovely, actually it's a little different kind of pink, isn't it? Well, we'll start with this pink and maybe add something to it. I want to look at this in terms of big masses, not individual flowers, but big masses of flowers. There's a lot of pink, there's some pink back there. Let it bleed. I think I'm going to trust that it will be light enough when it dries. Maybe we might lift a little bit out now. Just I'm taking the brush, all the water out, and lifting it a little bit here and there. Just so it's not solid. That's out. And then maybe now, even when it's wet, we could put a little bit of the darker accent in it. There's a whole bunch of, especially this one, just kind of like that. See? It's really kind of fun. Rather than try to make anything definite, you just put a few dogs in like that, see what happens. Up here too. That one's a little bit of an overkill. Take some of that out. Sometimes what you want is exactly what it is after you've put it on and then taken some of it out. We're just playing around here. Maybe this time I'll use a little blue. Because it looks like there's some kind of lavender shadows here and there. I'm putting a little blue in the other one. But remember, I'm mixing it on the paper. Looking for some more blue. While we have this blue on the brush, I'm going to do a couple of leaves. The other color I want to have fun with is the phthalo green. And I know this is not the color of that leaf, but I think we'll have more fun if we mix it on the paper. There's a lot of green in here. I'm putting a little yellow over the phthalo. And down here there's quite a bit. Some more yellow in the green. So this is really just painting one spot of color next to another. Not so much concerned about what it is yet. I like all these light stems in here. In order to make this white stand out, I'm going to need to paint something blue behind it. So let's do that now. This little bit of white. So that took care of the problem of having a light flower against a darker background. I'll just bring it down here. We might as well start here. You want to paint the whole picture at once, so this is a good place now to save this white highlight on the edge of the base. You see how I use the point of the brush to outline it, and then use the side of the brush to spread the paint around. But I managed to make it dark enough over here so that the white flowers stand out. This is sort of a nice little dark area anyway. Let's give it off a little bit. Because I want this leaf, this particular leaf needs to be darker than what's behind it. So I'll lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to dabble some more green around, maybe some dark green. There is I'm just using phthalo green and cobalt blue. So I can mix that on the paper. Right in here is a really nice dark area. I'm going to do that. I want this to be really dark the first time. Right here too. But more on the green side. So go back to the green. Now if you were with me when I did the wine bottle, this is a lot like the wine bottle. You really need to save these whites. So if I can do that. Right along the edge here is a beautiful white. This is very dark in here. This is dark. A few dark negative spaces, they're called. And then you're just painting one shape next to another, the relative value of it. I want that to go, it's the background showing through, so I need to add a little of that. I just extended it out a little bit. But this is darker than that. Right here is darker than what's showing through. There. If you can find some more darks, maybe right here. Just putting some darks. Down here, dark. That may not be the right color, but I'm trying to make it dark enough so that the yellow stems, notice how see in the picture of the setup, the stems in the base are lighter than what's behind them. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be sure I save them. Just like the highlights, I'm trying to save the highlights on the side of the base. And back here is also very dark. That was a happy accident. I didn't plan to use that color. But since I have it, I need to put it someplace else. Maybe here. I need to save a highlight. Now I see one. I didn't see it earlier, but I see a beautiful highlight on the water. I'm going to see if I can rescue that. There's the water line. It's a lovely reflection. Up here, let's do some of that. Let's keep moving around. Up here, there's a lovely highlight on the base. So I'll be sure and save that. And maybe like right in here. Definitely here. I'm looking for places to put dark. I forgot to soften it in, so I'm trying to fix it. There we go. See how nice the soft pink is now that it's dried? I need to get rid of that. Let's see. I have to darken it so that will disappear. It is dark, so it's not a problem. I'm seeing some lovely yellow greens in here. See if I can show you. All in here, there's two green. Yellow green, all in here is very, what you want to do is find a way to pull a bunch of details into a big mass, a big shape. So I have single ones, but I want to kind of pull a big bunch of green all together. That's what's happening up there. There's a little bit of a water line I don't want to lose. That's a different color. Let's see. The water line is, so that's the water line. And this is the leaf that comes in front of it. Where am I? So let's go back and put some greens in the spaces between some of the pink, so that we can define them before we move on. We want to find some spaces between them, like maybe here, maybe back here. Couple of lines here. Maybe this leaf was darker. This one's definitely darker. I think I could probably find a few more darks. Let's go back with that again. Under here, maybe. These leaves, these big leaves, have been sort of an anchoring place for me. This one, and that one, and this one. I should say it's a way of keeping in place. Because it's all so detailed and complicated. Let's put some more, it's kind of hard to find your place, isn't it? Let's get some more pink. Some more lovely pink up here. Hmm. And there are some lavender shadows. Let's see if we get those in here. Like over here, maybe this is a little more on the lavender side. Back here too. I think it needs some more greens up here. Lots of yellow green up here somewhere. Let's paint this one. This is a white one. It has some lovely, some of those things sticking out of it. Maybe they're very black, of a burgundy color. But a few things like this will help us to keep our place. Forgot I wanted to put the a little bit more of the green things in there. Let's do that. Let's go back now and find some negative spaces and paint them yellow green, because there's a lot of green between the pink flowers. Probably in here too. Yeah. You can kind of define pink with some green negative spaces. It's a lot like making a puzzle. Just finding all the pieces of the puzzle. What else do we need? We need more pink. We need a pink that has some lavender in it. How about that one over here is very nice in the shadows. Maybe here. Just a few little shadows. What about this? This is without looking spotty. Put a little bit of that down here. My theory is if you have a color on the brush, you should put it someplace. Maybe I'll use it for my shadow here. There's a little bit of shadow over here, but I think I'll make it more blue. You see that there's a blue-violet shadow in here? A little bit. Anything else? Maybe... This flower over here is white, but it has more of a yellow-green shadow. Just keep it kind of like that. For the background, I'm going to try to use all the colors that we have here and make them all go together, kind of. I keep finding more pink. At the end, you put in dark accents and bright accents. So I'm jazzing up the pink a little bit. This is so pretty now. The light is, I'm painting from life, and the lighting is changing, and I really like what I see. So I'm going to soften this a little bit. So it looks more like the light's shining on it. There we go. I'm lifting it off. There we go. Let's do the background and we'll be just about done. I'm using lavender. I've got all these different colors on here. I'm trying to make this a really fast painting. I haven't done them. There you go. Okay, so we have all these different colors. We need to make them go together. So a little bit of phthalo green over this. You want the background to be a little darker because you want the whites to come out. Making that darker. Okay, wait a minute. One more thing. I want to darken that up there. You want the background to, it has like a shape to it. I mean, it's not, there's definitely negative spaces coming into the silhouette of the bouquet. So we want to have it come in here a few places. Like more like that. And you want the pink flowers to be light against the dark background. Otherwise they don't stand out. See the difference between I don't have it in here enough there either. Not quite. Hold on. Okay, I paint my pears. I picked this pear at the market because it had a little bit of pink on it. There isn't any on the back one, but I'm going to put some. Okay, this is fading the white. painting the shadow on the side of the, whoops. Right here. Little accent of the stem. Accent under them. You can see I love painting bears. Any more dogs? A few dogs. There's probably a few more things up here that we need to do, but I think maybe we should stop for now. Because I promised myself I was going to, a couple of shadows, I was going to paint this very loose, so I don't want to overwork it. So the idea is that you can paint a few flowers very detailed, and the rest of them you just leave to the imagination. This is what we're doing here. Maybe a little bit more purple over here. So, I want that to be darker behind the pear, so the pears stand out. Yeah. That's good. We have to extend it over here so it's not darker right here. Okay, we saved enough whites, hopefully. A couple of accents. Notice how I'm painting the whole picture at once. That's what it's called. I call it dancing around. And then think about getting the big masses first, which I did. I put the pink mass in, and then I just felt like an impressionist. I was just dropping in little spots of color here and there, not putting anything in that I didn't see. Then, but the process is that if you surrender to this idea of painting the whole picture at once, that means you don't do any details. You make yourself hold back, And notice how I'm bouncing color around. If I have, I always believe this, I heard about this early on. If you have something on your brush, put it someplace else before you put it down, especially in oil, but even in watercolor. So I was like, if I have yellow, maybe I should put it someplace else. It's called echoing. You keep echoing it around. And then at the end, if you surrender to this process, it does all kind of fall into place at the end. But it doesn't look like anything's happening for a long time. because in my theory, you know, is a good composition will paint itself. So that's why, because I was kidding about how we do a thumbnail sketch every time. But we usually, and I said, well, usually we don't because we don't have time. We just want to get on with the painting, get on with it. But then I thought, well, now we have time. we could do a little value study for 5 minutes. Yep. But it's pretty classic. I mean, the idea of a thumbnail sketch and a value study is classical training. And then, but the reason you can see it's so much easier for you when you start to paint because you've been painting in your mind. First of all, you've been painting the composition kind of, you're beginning to see something. And I said at one of the demonstrations that when you look through the viewfinder that I have you do when you have a real setup, you have to have one, or even your camera. I mean, the phone is a viewfinder in a way. So then you find something that you are excited about. And then once you have that in your mind, the vision that you have is almost a vision. And then you sort of are working toward that all the time. Like, it's easier for you. I think it puts it on your brain and helps it come out better. I think if you spend time on the drawing, which doesn't, and Duncan also noticed, he said, well, you're not adhering to the drawing. But all this time doing the drawing, and then you're not staying in the lines. I said, well, it's not supposed to ever be that you draw something and then fill it in. So the lines are just it's my way of trying to resolve all the problems, like where these things are going to go. And so I spend time drawing. It's fun to draw. Put it this way, you feel like a beginner.
Yes.
no matter where you are on this journey, you feel every time you sit down at that blank piece of paper, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I never know. I keep pressing on, but I don't feel very confident that it's going to come out.
Yeah.
Hope.
Yeah.
So I guess the message is it's the process, not the product. Keep telling yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Keep reminding us. Yep.
Because we're so product oriented and it just spoils everything. Not if you want to have a show, you just want to do this for fun. So enjoy it. Okay. So I'm looking there and somebody else is talking. I read lips, remember? I mean, this is different.
Right.
So I have my interpreter here if it's serious. What should I say, Duncan?
Goodbye.
Say goodbye. I have to tell you, doesn't this look like a George Burns and Gracie Allen routine? Say goodbye, Gracie. Goodbye.
Good night, Eva.
And Duncan channel.